All right, lots to talk about in the lightning round. We traveled to South Africa where Oscar Pistorius got into a fight over the killing of his girlfriend. Now, witnesses say he was drunk and aggressive, and I think the question is for the panel right now is, okay, he's been charged with murder. Why is he out drinking in a bar?
Look, I don't blame the guy for wanting to get a cocktail after everything he's doing, but can you do it in your own home or do it amongst friends instead of being in public? That's insane.
Can we all just agree Oscar needs to stay home? I mean,
absolutely.
Honestly, he's either totally clueless about the public perception of him, or he is convinced that he is above.
I think it's either above the law, but I was also going to say that's a part of a narcissistic personality, isn't it, Dr. Bart?
I think he has a narcissistic personality, and I think he has a personality problem, and I think you're seeing it. He has so many different sides of his personality that are problematic that we're seeing it unfold, actually, in court and out of court.
So I agree with you, Josh. Let's just say stay home, Blade Runner, and I think that's a pretty good advice for him. This was my heartbreak this week. Okay, Archie comic books. I was telling the panel I have about 1,000 in my parents' attic. Archie comic books, after all this time, 75 years, they killed him off with gun violence. Marvel Comics said that they wanted to do so.
Sorry, that's hilarious.
But they wanted to do so to make a point about guns, and this is reflecting our society right now.
Ridiculous. Okay, I'm sorry. The only thing I know about Archie is that guys would always say, "Hey, do you like Betty or Veronica?" Right. And that's all I know about Archie. But you know, to try to make a political statement from a comic book, give me a break. Hilarious. Yeah.
Well, it certainly did. I mean, it certainly
I just think it's a lousy strategy. If they wanted to kill him off, I think they come up with something else. But gun violence and Archie when there's Betty and Veronica, I don't get that.
Do we know who pulled the trigger? Do we know who pulled the trigger?
And everybody, that's what I was going to say, because Betty and Veronica, that was always the plot line.
Yeah, absolutely. But if one of those two girls, or if they got into a duel or something, that would have been interesting.
But that's the attraction too, right? The conflict there, like who's he going to go with? And I think that's what made it so appealing.
Which, both of you, do you like Betty or Veronica? That's a big question.
Yeah, so I married a brunette, so I better say Veronica.
Veronica?
Yeah.
Good man.
Maybe Betty.
Okay, all right.
Well, that was the big question
There you see the conflict.
Let me also mention that they also have turned Archie comic books, and he's become a zombie. And believe it or not, this is true. They are actually selling more comic books now. So I guess in terms of a business move, it was a good business move for them. I was heartbroken, though. That's just my personal story. All right, moving over to China. Well, there was a well-preserved sea monster that was unearthed this week. The 520-million-year-old creature, one of the first predators of its day, sported some eyes, body armor, and 2 spiky claws, and it had a perfectly intact brain. I mean, is that amazing or what, to think about 520 million years ago, and I still question whether scientists are like, oh, well, it was 510 million years ago, but, I mean, I'll question that, but I did work in the marine biology field for a while, but amazing.
I want to know what's in that brain. What's going on in there?
Yeah.
That's what
Is it real?
Can we figure that out?
Monster, or is it real? Man?
Well,
you need to go there and research it.
I have a point of view on this, which is the notion that they found something that has these claws, right? To me, this is a creature that clearly was very capable of taking on its enemies. And so I think there's a movement afoot to name this creature Dee Dee.
I like
that's
that.
where you're going on there.
I know.
Very nice.
We were spinning that for a little while. I'm like, where's
Wanted to leave you hanging.
I like it.
This is one of the, I guess, more humorous in a way. But FedEx has been indicted for delivering drugs, not one delivery guy, but the entire company. So let's talk about this from a company standpoint. Should the entire company get blamed for delivering drugs to not only the dealers, but also to the addicts? Dee Dee.
It's kind of funny, because look, it's like you're at the post office, and you're there, and it's like, hey, there could be some heroin in that box. I'm guessing they have to be held responsible for some way. I mean, don't they have, like, x-rays that could tell if it's bongs or heroin or needles? I mean,
Josh, I got a question for you. Is it time to buy some UPS stock?
I mean, look, this is again, Panjiva, we're very much into the flow of goods around the world. So we think a lot about logistics, and I can tell you that I absolutely think they need to be held accountable for this, because if you read the details of this story, this wasn't something that was happening without their knowledge. There were a set of people that knew and looked the other way. And to me, that's a question of corporate
They're getting
culture.
payout,
Well, that's a
probably.
corporate culture management, and, but
Yeah.
but is it restrict? I mean, and more is going to come out about this story. But is it restricted to certain areas and that that group? You know what I mean?
And that'll come out. But I think you do have to ask the question. I think anytime you see something like a cancer inside an organization, you have to ask questions about the culture that's created across the organization.
Well,
Because
see, I agree with that, but what they knew and when they knew it, and are they really liable for transporting stuff that they're not sure about? I
no.
mean,
They
what-
knew,
They knew, yeah, they
and they
knew.
looked the
Well,
other
see,
way.
then I think that you're making a good point, because if someone is deliberate in terms of their action, then it changes the ball game, in my view.
No, but and I think it's a fair way to say it. If there's a cancer within the culture, then you have to really look at everything.
Yeah.
Well, the drug dealers are going to get away from it. It's going to get more and more prevalent, and they're just drug smugglers, basically. And if people know, they're getting a
They were
little money on the side.
legal drug smugglers, basically.
Yeah,
is what they were.
exactly.
Like,
Well,
I mean, not legal.
Yeah. Josh is saying it's deliberate and that they knew about it, and that changes the whole complexion of this.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's going to be certainly an interesting story to continue to follow. All right, let's talk about World Cup, everybody. Were you happy? I was rooting for Argentina. I know you wanted Germany, Dee Dee.
Yes, I was very
did?
happy. Yeah.
Why?
Why not? I like them.
Interesting. I mean, so my feeling on it was, they tend to lose world wars. So if they win a few World Cups, that's pretty good.
Well, I'm glad they lost the World War, so just give them the World Cup.
So I'm with you. I'm with you.
I would hope so.
Well, I'm a fan of the atomic flea, Lionel Messi, and I kept saying that he was
Yep,
going to
yep,
pull it
yep,
out,
yep.
and he had a strike on goal that just went a little bit wide right, and otherwise we'd be talking about him being the hero. But
Well,
that's
a lot
what
of you.
happened.
Let's talk about Messi for a minute. They said that in order for him to be compared to, say, Pele, for the rest of his lifetime, he really needed to succeed in this World Cup. Do you think he did? I know, Dee Dee, that's not necessarily a question for you.
No, and you're such a loser if your name's the Atomic Flea. I'm sorry, that's not working for me. Come on, can't you come up with something better than that, like the bull or the
I'm not sure if he was named that or if one of the sportscaster named. So we'll give him a pass on that one.
No, but you got to win, right? If you want to be a hero, you got to win, and he didn't win.
But do you say? I mean, there was second, so that's.
Come
up there.
on.
No.
No way. No way.
But I'm saying, after the World Cup appearance and his performance, would you put him in the likes of Pele?
No, the psychology of this doesn't play out. Pele is Pele, and the atomic flea is still in second place.
It's still a flea. No. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to talk about Bryan Cranston, in case anybody here did not see him on Broadway. He won the Tony, of course, for LBJ. He's now taking that role to HBO, so he had such tremendous success in this role. I saw it on Broadway. You saw it on Dr. Bart?
No, but I'm a big fan of his. I think I would watch anything or see anything that he was in after Breaking Bad. I think he's fantastic.
Certainly, and he's kind of humble also, which is
Yes.
very nice.
Just like
to see.
LBJ.
Oh my gosh, no. What a terrible man. But it's,
Did you see the show?
no, but
So
I do.
you're gonna
but
like it. You're gonna like it. I know you don't think you're gonna like it, but you're gonna like it.
Did you see it?
I did.
Yeah, no, I saw it.
Did they make LBJ out to be the jerk that he was?
So-
the master of the Senate, the guy who's like banging on people.
So
I mean, I was
yes.
wondering.
So yes,
Okay.
think of it as the sequel to Lincoln, right? So these are two
That's a
shows.
good comparison.
These are two shows that are movie and now a movie coming to HBO about significant steps forward in American history. In Lincoln, you have a Republican giving the South to the Democratic Party, and in LBJ, you've got LBJ giving it back to the Republican
Well, that's
Party.
one way to look at it. No, actually, anything about presidential history I love, because I was a history major and I
It's
worked
great.
for a president. So even though LBJ was definitely not my favorite president,
Yep.
I would watch the show.
We have two quick topics we want to get to because we're going to be running out of time here on Fresh Outlook. Jason Biggs, the Twitter controversy, he basically said after the Malaysia Airlines tragedy, he tweeted out, "Does anyone want my frequent flyer miles?" What were your thoughts? Does he have the right to have his freedom of speech? Or was this just so insensitive that it was way over the top? Dr. Bart.
I don't think it was so insensitive over the top, but I do think that it might be tending to be going down the wrong road. I think you need to be really careful when it comes to a tragedy like this and what you say. So I think that he probably regrets that tweet, and I think it's a little bit off color, but it is what it is.
Are we going over the top with when people are doing something that's not politically correct? I mean, we do have freedom of speech in this country.
I don't think it's our business. It's not for us to really, I mean, we can say we hate it, we think he's a jerk to do it, but he's entitled to do it.
He is entitled to do it. Josh?
Sure, I will defend freedom of speech to the end of time. I'll also defend my right to think that it's not
He's
a particularly
a jerk for
classy
saying it,
move.
right?
Yeah, no, I just thought it was terribly insensitive. That was my whole...
Yeah, it's definitely bad taste, for sure. But, you know, it's
but-
social media.
It is social media, and I think people rethink what they sometimes tweet out. So we do have to, we're going to close on like a very happy note because it's a baseball story, and you know how much I love baseball. Hard to believe, but Derek Jeter has 67 games left of his career. He was honored by all of baseball this past week. If you didn't see it at the All-Star game, he's played in 13 All-Stars, certainly an All-Star himself, but the 40-year-old out there had 2 hits, was just absolutely amazing, and he really is the face of baseball and really a winning personality.
He is, and the reason I like him so much is because he really isn't the best shortstop ever as an infielder. Ozzie Smith probably is. He's not the best hitter. He's not the best in a lot of categories, but he made consistency and his personality the best.
And we do want to thank our winning personalities who are on the show. Dr. Bart, Josh Green.
Not me, I know I'm not, I don't care.
Panjiva and Dee Dee Benkie. We want to thank everybody, winning personalities here on Fresh Outlook. As always, thank you for watching wherever you are in the world. We'll be back here next week, and we hope you have a great week.